morning, Minister. Any comment about the ongoing Convoy protests happening?
People have the right to protest, but hateful images, swastikas and Confederate flags really just concern me as a Canadian. I don't think there's room for that kind of expression, styles of David, that kind of thing. And our Supreme Court has made it very clear, that freedom of speech is very valuable, but hate speech doesn't have any societal value. And in Canada, we take that stuff very seriously. So it's really disappointing to see that a few steps from the House of Commons. Swastikas in 2022.
What do you think of the anger and the division we've been seeing over the last 5 days? And what does that say about the current climate in Canada and the anger over COVID restrictions?
As I said, you can express your opinions, you can express your political opinions, you can express anger, frustration, but swastikas, Confederate flags, Stars of David, what does that achieve? It's hate against others, and it is not welcome in Canada.
Thank you. Can I get your reaction to Premier Legault scrapping the tax on the unvaccinated in Quebec yesterday, saying it was too divisive?
Well, I'd say from the first thing I'd say is for them, it's for the province to make a decision when it comes to vaccination. But I would say it's the right decision that they have taken. So now what we need to do is obviously to keep working together as a nation to make sure that we put COVID behind us as soon as possible. People have made great sacrifice. It's been tough for Canadians for the last 2 years, and that's why the public health measure we've put, the vaccination, we know it's the best way to get back to a sense of normality. That's why I feel everywhere I go in the country, people just want to get a sense of normality. And I think it's time to stand shoulder to shoulder. We've gone to a lot as a nation, and it's time to assemble to make sure that we keep following science, we keep following data to protect the health and safety of people. But as a people, as a nation, I think it's kind of a time now to stand together. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We've done a lot of things together over the last 2 years. And for me, I'm laser focused on the opportunities ahead, making sure we get back the recovery, getting back to growth. In my case, rebuilding the industry to make sure Canada would be well positioned for the economy of the 21st century. But I think as people now, we need to sometimes bring the pressure down in a sense. And now we saw the protesters, we say to them, we've heard you, but now it's time to go home. People of Ottawa, they want to have their downtown back. And understandably so. So I think it's a time in our nation now to just try to bring people together. And that's certainly what we're going to be doing and certainly focusing. Canadians have elected us to focus on them, work for them. There's a lot of challenges and opportunities ahead. And that's what we'll be working on them, working for them as they expect us to do when we come to this House of Commons.
I just want to shift gears on Huawei. Last session, your government promised that the decision on that would be imminent. Will we see any decision on that this session?
Well, we've when you're talking about a decision about our networks and our communication networks, which will have impact for generations to come when we think about 5G and what's coming in terms of the Internet of Things and all that, what Canadians expect from us is to take the right decision. And when it comes to that, national security must come first, and we will take the time needed in order to make sure that we take the best possible decision for Canadians now, but also for generations to come. Merci. Bonne journée.
How do you feel about the trucker convoy? Is it time they go home?
They've made their point. I think it's time to go home peacefully.
So should the Ottawa police step in at this point?
I have full confidence in our law enforcement agencies that they will do their job, and I hope that whatever remains peaceful, and I hope the protesters go home.
Is there any federal role in this?
Is there?
To get this resolved peacefully?
They made their point. The entire country heard their point of view, and I think they should go home and let Ottawa, the residents of Ottawa businesses get back to their jobs.
And your concerns about Alberta, and things are getting heated there.
Can you update on when the broadcasting match will be your table?
It would be imminent. So I would. You're not going to have to wait very long.
Okay, and is there any update about the Winnipeg lab documents conflict or happenings your government's having with the Conservative Party? Has there been any negotiations that have been moved forward on that?
Well, I would simply point out that we've seen a tremendous number of national security experts come out and talk about the need for the Conservatives to come to the table and point out that the proposal we've made is preeminently reasonable. The offer to work with them at NSI COP is still there. We have an offer for an ad hoc committee where they can refer anything to an independent panel of jurists. So a series of very reasonable offers have been made. We're seeing independent experts from across the country call on the Conservatives to participate. I hope they will heed that call and engage with us in a reasonable conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any message for Aaron O'Toole today?
Look, Aaron's is a neighbor. This is a tough business. We've gone through our own leadership challenges in the past. But I think that at the end of the day, we're focused on the business of the nation. I think he's going to figure out what they're doing and what's up with them, and that's a problem that they have to be focused on. For me, we have an incredibly aggressive legislative agenda that we have to get adopted. So they're going to be focusing on them. We're going to be focusing on the business of the nation, and that's what we're going to be talking about here today.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Any comment on the ongoing Convoy program?
I'm going to come on the way of it.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll say very quickly, because I'm heading into caucus, that I think that the point has been made, and that there's been a lot of interruption here for local residents, and I think we need to understand and appreciate that people want to get back to their daily lives, get to work, get kids to school, be able to go and shop, etc. At the same time, I know that Ottawa Police is working very closely with federal partners. There's good lines of communication there, but certainly, and where appropriate, law enforcement action has been taken. I'm aware of the fact that I think that 2 charges have been laid, and that there are ongoing investigations. Those are all being carried out independently of the elected government. But there's been a point made, and certainly we hope that we'll be able to carry on. Thanks very much.
Do you think that the federal government should be doing more about what's going on? Do you think that the federal government should be doing more to stop what's going on outside right now?
Well, I think the key message to those people outside, and I won't call them truckers, I'll just say people, because I know a lot of truckers and they're not here on Wellington Street. I think they've been heard. It's time to go home. It's time to give downtown Ottawa back to Ottawa residents. It's time to move on. I think the role of every politician in this country should be to bring people together. We've gone through a lot in the last 2 years as Canadians. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder and understand we're in the same journey. This journey to finish the fight against COVID and get to a sense of normality. So we understand the frustration, understand that people want to move on. But we've also seen as Canadians certain actions, certain words, certain displays, which were disturbing, that have no place in a country like Canada, and for that matter in any country. So I think it's time to stand together as Canadians and move on, because my message to them would say, you've been heard, go home, and certainly let's stand together as Canadians, because that's the only way we're going to get through this, and we will see the end of that fight against COVID, and then we can move on as a people. Merci.
What do you think the federal government can do about opening up the border in southern Alberta right now?
Oh, I think the provincial government needs to act swiftly and make sure that truckers that are stuck in the United States can get back into Canada and deliver the goods and services and do the job they've been doing.
Why is that a provincial responsibility, not a federal responsibility?
Well, the provincial highway on the Canadian side is blocked, and that's under provincial jurisdiction. That's blocked right now, and we hope that our truckers can get through and move up the highway and deliver those goods to Canadians. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you?
All right.
Give us an update on the situation outside and what the federal government can or is willing to do to help Ottawa get back to normal.
Well, the first thing I want to really emphasize is the concern that we have for local residents whose daily lives have been significantly disrupted as a result of the convoy and the demonstrators. And by that I mean it's very difficult right now for people to get to work. It's very difficult right now in some instances for people to drop their kids off to school. It's difficult to just move about in the downtown, and that has been the case now for quite some time. So, you know, for those who say that this has simply been festive and peaceful, I think that the local residents here have experienced, you know, quite a significant amount of disruption on that. And so that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that federal public safety partners, including the RCMP and PPS, have been working very closely with Ottawa Police, who are the police of jurisdiction in this instance, including on Wellington Street, where many of the trucks still remain, are supporting by ensuring that there's appropriate personnel on the ground, by ensuring that there's good lines of communication. I know that both the Ottawa Mayor and the Ottawa Police Chief have expressed the point of view, and it's a view that I share, that the demonstrators have been able to you know, get their message across, but now it's time for the city to move on, and I think that that is something that we would like to see. For those who say, you know, we need to listen, we have been listening for a long time to Canadians throughout the pandemic about how we can get on with it, and that does mean, from our point of view, ensuring that people get vaccinated. So in the meantime, we'll keep supporting however we can. Lines of communication remain open between the federal government and the City of Ottawa, and we'll take it from there.
There are those, however, who say that the message that's been sent is that if you bring enough people and you bring enough trucks, you can get away with whatever you want. There's people in Ottawa who are being ticketed themselves, the residents that are being harassed and being told, well, just don't wear masks around them then. And they feel abandoned by the city, by the police, by even the federal government. How do you ensure that they actually have trust in institutions when all of this has been happening?
Well, I would point out that, look, first of all, it's unacceptable for anybody to say don't wear a mask, when clearly public health guidelines are the opposite, particularly when you're, you know, in densely populated areas, or when you're going into an establishment, or when you're going to work. So we need to follow the guidelines. That's how we get out of this. And I would say that where people break the law, that, you know, our expectation is that law enforcement will take the appropriate steps to hold those people accountable. I also want to underline that police take those decisions independently. We don't live in a democracy where elected officials direct police officers to investigate, to lay charges, to prosecute, or to punish. I mean, that's one of the main pillars of our foundation. But I do really empathize with those who are frustrated. You know, working in the downtown core here has been very hard. And I do think that, you know, now that there has been, I think, a rather sustained effort on the part of demonstrators to make their point, that folks here understand it and that they should move on.
Minister, how much longer will feds wait before taking action? Are they prepared that more truckers are going to come this weekend? And RCMP have gone in to break up protests before. Why not now? How come the feds keep deflecting to the city when they have powers here too? Are you pushing the city to do more?
Well, just to be clear, that Ottawa Police are the police of jurisdiction, and those are well-established lines of responsibility. And we are supporting, and we have been supporting Ottawa Police in many ways by having additional RCMP, PPS resources on the ground. Those individuals were here in great and significant numbers throughout the demonstration, providing public safety, and that is a critical and manifest way in which we've been providing support. I would also point out that between the city and the federal government, that there are good lines of communication between the mayor's office as well as the Ottawa Police Chief. The Ottawa Police Chief is speaking with the commissioner of the RCMP every single day, and probably a lot more frequently than that. And so to the extent that there is a need for additional resources, there are proper channels in which those requests are made, and which they are received, and which they are thus far have been granted. And so, again, all of that is done operationally by police, independently of government. Elected governments do not make those calls, but we will be there to respond however is needed. Okay, thank you very much.